All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we've got a really fascinating, highly specific mission. We are going to deep dive into the observation records of Tommy Yoshida, also known as Yoshida Tsutomu. Now, I want to set the stage right out of the gate here. This is not some step-by-step tutorial on how to use AI. And honestly, we are absolutely not here to draw hard, fast conclusions. Instead, I want you to treat this as an invitation. We're going to take a Socratic walk together, exploring that weird, messy, evolving space where human creativity actually meets artificial intelligence. So, think about your own daily habits for a second. When you're using generative AI, why do we almost always just save the final output? You know what I mean, right? Most of us treat AI exactly like a vending machine. We punch a prompt in, we grab our polished text out of the tray, and we go about our day. But Yoshida introduces this core philosophy that completely flips that script. He's asking us to fundamentally rethink that transactional habit. Instead of just extracting utility from the machine, what if we started actively observing its behavior?
So let's open up Section 1, an invitation to observation records, and meet the mind behind this.
To give you a little context, Tommy Yoshida is a digital strategist and an OpenAI feedback contributor. And there's this really crucial thread woven through both the Japanese and international editions of his notes. It's perfectly captured in this one quote. Don't just use AI, observe it. It sounds super simple, doesn't it? But it's actually challenging us to step back and watch the machine over time. He doesn't see the system as a static tool. It's a dynamic, living environment. You start asking yourself, what's different today than yesterday? Has the phrasing shifted? Is the timing slightly off? That pivot from just using to observing is literally a game changer.
And this next point really highlights his broader mindset. He writes, unfinished thoughts and pending questions remain exactly as they are. Look, we're in a massive, unprecedented, transitional period with AI right now, and Yoshida intentionally preserves all the awkwardness, the unresolved ideas, the hesitations in his notes. He does this because he wants to capture the raw, unfiltered interaction between emerging tech and human judgment. We are absolutely not forcing anything into a neat little box today.
Which brings us to Section 2, a sudden disruption in AI collaboration. So picture this. Yoshida is deep in the middle of a long-term project. He's writing the 17th chapter of his Kindle novel, which is a story about a rookie real estate salesperson. And right in the middle of it, he hits a wall, a disruption. He notes that the rhythm he and the AI had established just suddenly felt different. So the question naturally pops up, right? What caused the sudden change in this collaboration rhythm? When you're working on something that long-term, you develop a very specific flow. So was the machine acting up, or was it just him? Well, we can kind of break the possibilities down into two camps. On one hand, it could be entirely technical. Maybe there was a stealth model update, a system spec change, or something to do with the timing of GPT Live rolling out. But on the other hand, it could literally just be human perception. Maybe his own mood or his approach to the prompts had subtly shifted that day. But check out his conclusion here. Or, well, the intentional lack of one. He simply states, I do not have enough evidence to draw a conclusion. Let's just pause and let that sink in for a second. True to his whole philosophy, we aren't here to solve a mystery. He doesn't know OpenAI's internal backend, and he's not going to pretend he does. Instead of guessing, he chooses to embrace the unknown. He leaves the question beautifully, perfectly unresolved. Moving to Section 3, 4 layers restoring environment. Okay, so if he couldn't pinpoint exactly what caused the shift, how did he actually recover this massive long-term AI collaboration? Well, he focused all his energy on restoration. He meticulously maintained 4 very specific backup layers during the production of his novel. First, you have the finalized chapters, which he saved in Google Docs. Second, a master project Bible to keep track of the overarching lore and details. Third, handoff notes, written specifically to bridge the context over to the next chapter. And fourth, the complete collaboration logs. Having these 4 distinct layers was the absolute foundation he needed to rebuild his working environment. I really want to zoom in on that 4th layer, the raw logs. Yoshida completely redefines what these are. This isn't just your standard chat history that you scroll past and delete. No, these are a comprehensive record of creative decisions, rejected ideas, and the entire flow of thought over time. They are essentially the heartbeat of his creative process. They hold all that rich context that usually just vanishes into thin air. And that naturally leads us right into Section 4, the true value of those raw logs.
So why did these messy, unfiltered records end up being the crucial key to restoring his workflow? It's simple, really. They revealed the invisible thought processes. Think about it. A final manuscript only tells you what was written. The raw logs tell you why. They explain exactly why a specific expression was chosen over another, why a cool alternative idea had to be rejected, how his own real-life sales experience was carefully integrated into the protagonist's journey. The raw logs hold all the whys that a polished final product completely strips away. And this actually makes total sense when you consider Yoshida's background. He's a former systems engineer. And in that world, you just operate on the baseline assumption that failures, outages, and sudden environment shifts are going to happen. The goal isn't to magically prevent every single failure. The goal is having the architecture in place to rebuild when things inevitably break. He just instinctively applied that exact same engineering principle to his creative AI collaboration.
All right, section 5. This is where the light bulb really goes on. Backing up the collaboration. Going through this whole friction and recovery process, Yoshida had a massive realization. He realized, I was not backing up only my manuscript. I want that to challenge the traditional way we all view saving our work. We're so hardwired to just hit save on the final essay, the finalized code, the polished image, and we just toss out everything that actually got us there. He says, I was backing up the collaboration itself. Honestly, that is a total paradigm shift. By saving the finalized texts, the project Bible, the handoff notes, and those raw, messy logs, he created layered documentation. And that documentation let him reconstruct a highly complex collaborative workflow with an insane degree of fidelity. He didn't just save the output, he literally backed up a living relationship and shared context with an AI.
Which brings us to our final section, embracing unfinished thoughts.
This is absolutely the philosophical peak of our explainer today. Yoshida states, these are hypotheses, not conclusions. The real value of his observation records isn't about rushing to some definitive answer about why the AI changed its rhythm. The value is in capturing the now. Hesitations, quirks, incomplete thoughts, the whole shebang. There is so much validity in an incomplete thought. Forming a hypothesis and just sitting back to observe the AI's continuous evolution, that's a reward all on its own. Which leaves us with this final thought. And true to the spirit of Yoshida's Socratic approach, we are not going to answer it. We're just going to let it hang in the air, perfectly unresolved, as an incomplete thought for you to chew on today. What subtle behavioral changes will you notice next time you use AI? Next time you open up your favorite tool, try looking past the immediate answers. Look at the timing, the structure, the flow. Try being a careful observer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.